So, I'm live on stream right now, and I was mentioned this interesting letter that was sent out by Yoshi-P regarding the growing player population and plans to alleviate world congestion. Greetings, Final Fantasy XIV players. This is your product and director, Naoki Yoshida, Yoshi-P. Yoshi-P! First and foremost, I would like to extend my thanks to all of you for your continued support. Absolutely, mad support to this guy. I mean, he's made one of the best. He's helped lead to create one of the best MMORPGs, if arguably the best one in the market right now. I would argue superior to World of Warcraft for sure right now. So, and all the thanks in your direction, my guy. Development on our latest expansion pack, Endwalker, continues as we focus on implementing content and transitioning to the check and polish phase. Expectations for 6.0, are high and have resulted in an increased interest in Final Fantasy XIV, especially in North America and Europe, where we are currently experiencing an extreme influx of new players. I wonder why. Today I would like to go into detail about the server congestion resulting from this influx and the steps we are taking to address it. The message is a long one, so please bear with me. Player population growth. As mentioned above, Final Fantasy XIV is currently experiencing a dramatic increase in its player base. This increase is not only limited to the global version served by the Japanese, North American, and European data centers, but also the locally operated Chinese and Korean versions as well. Recently, we have experienced record user numbers in all regions, with a vast amount of new players beginning their adventures. In particular, the increase in North America and EU region players over the past 2 weeks has been both so staggering and unexpected that many players are now having difficulty logging in or creating new characters due to server congestion, and for this we deeply apologize. And there's nothing to apologize for. What were they supposed to do? I hope nobody out there is actually like, oh, Final Fantasy, damn you, Yoshi-P and the devs of Final Fantasy XIV, how dare you? How dare you not have the foresight of a fucking psychic to know when there would be this magical eruption of players. Like, that's ridiculous. This should not be apologized for. But I mad respect to the company, even though they have no need to apologize for this. I mean, it shows a lot of humble nature, which I respect. So, but again, there's no need to apologize. The population that can be logged into, raising simultaneous login caps, the population that can be logged into each world server at one time is capped. However, so many of you noticed, this cap is not the same for all servers and differs somewhat between data centers, Mana, Ether, Chaos, etc. The main reason for this has to do with a data center's matching server. A matching server can only handle so much information, so to ensure that it functions properly, a capacity limit must be set. This limit determines the overall maximum population of a data center, which is then divided by the number of worlds in the data center to calculate how many players can be logged into each world. If a matching server were to overload, it would result in the duty finder ceasing to function properly and instability when entering instanced content, hence the importance of login caps. And I think most people understand the importance of of why there's login caps. Like, there's only so much data that can be processed by these systems at a time. And it's as much as we like to think of like the internet and like technology as having this unlimited resource almost, or having like an unlimited ability to process data, that's more of a fantasy than it is reality. Technology, programs, all these things are as fallible as we are as we develop them. So I would hope most people understand that when it comes to like server capacity and why it exists, it's to avoid instability and to avoid the server being completely unplayable on. It's just one of those logical things. Differences in login caps occur due to differences in the number of worlds per data center, as well as differences in matching server performance. As it happens, the matching servers used in North America data centers were recently upgraded to higher performance models. Continued optimization of this new equipment has allowed us, as of July 16th, to increase the maximum number of simultaneous logins across the North American data centers by 18,000, or approximately 700 per world server. That's a good upgrade. I don't know if it'll keep up with the amount of people who have flooded in. Like I've heard the rumors as in terms of like how like the influx of new players goes as high as like 1 million new players, and then you hear like a lot more like more detrimental ones like, oh, it's only like 1,000 or 2,000 people have flooded into the servers. So it's somewhere in there is the truth of like how many people specifically have influx to the servers. So I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see if 18,000 or 750 per world server is going to be enough to keep up with that the new capacity demand. A matching server upgrade for EU data centers, while currently planned for the immediate future, however, is still pending. As such, until the upgrade is implemented, it will be difficult for us to raise world login caps to the same degree as those of North American worlds. America #1! Suck it, EU! Sorry, I couldn't hold it in. Anyway, that said, the team is currently working hard to optimize, and that was a joke, by the way. I love everybody over in the EU, and I hope you guys get the cap increased, so you can enjoy this amazing fucking world that Square Enix has made. That said, the team is currently working hard to optimize existing servers in an attempt to increase the caps, if by a smaller amount, and will endeavor to make continued adjustments and improvements while maintaining game stability. Despite the aforementioned cap increase over the weekend of July 17th and 18th, several North American world servers experienced periods of 6 to 7 hours at maximum login capacity. As a result, character creation was unavailable for long periods of time, and players faced average login waits of 10 to 20 minutes. For players residing in worlds in the European data center, weekend login wait times were as high as 40 minutes. We deeply apologize for the situation in both regions. I mean, again, like, there's nothing to apologize for that. And again, mad respect to the company for doing so, but if they didn't apologize for it, I wouldn't feel any, like, again, they said it themselves. This was an unprecedented growth that they had no way of predicting. So it's completely reasonable and understandable that they just didn't know this was going to happen. So, but mad respect to them for even when they didn't need to at all. But mad respect for the notion and respect to their player base to the point where they're apologizing for something they didn't even need to. When a world server reaches its maximum capacity, any additional players attempting to log in will be placed in a queue and must wait until a player already on the server logs out before being admitted. As character creation requires a player to be logged in order to write the newly created data to the database, new characters cannot be created while the server is full. While we regret having to do so, we would humbly ask two things of our players to ensure the new players have an opportunity to create characters. First, we ask those not actively engaged in the game to log out of their characters rather than remaining logged in while idle. Second, we request that you avoid creating new characters during peak congestion times. That's fine with me. I mean, you only need to make one character at all, unless you're like you want to make another character on another server to play with someone specifically. Otherwise, this is a game that rewards you for only having one character. As mentioned above, those who log in while the server is congested may experience login queues, which allow players into the server at a reduced rate in the order that they joined the queue. Login queues occur for two reasons. The first is that the act of logging in temporarily increases the server's load. When a world experiences a large I'm starting to butcher my speech. When a world experiences a large number of players attempting to log in at once, it may become overloaded and crash. This is best avoided by staggering logins. The second is, as explained earlier, that each world has a maximum login capacity to maintain stability. In such cases, players may only be admitted once others log out. It's basic information about queues. We ask that you patiently remain in the queue should you encounter wait times. These queues are necessary to ensure that servers remain stable while providing a safe, fair means for players to enter the game during periods of increased user activity. Please also note that in order to prioritize our paying customers, the login queue is not available to players using the free trial version, regardless of whether it occurs due to a surge in logins or a world reaching its capacity. Logging in will only be possible for these players after a world's login queue is cleared. We once again apologize for the inconvenience, but ask for your understanding to this on this point. And to me, this makes perfect sense. I mean, if anyone's kind of outraged that they're prioritizing their paying customers, I mean, if you're running a free trial and you're angry about this, and yet you really shouldn't be. I mean, it's nothing personal. It's just business, and they can't. As I said, they got to prioritize. This is They're basically doing the development version of triage here. So you got to prioritize paying customers. I mean, if someone's just logging in for free, trying out the game, it's unfortunate that they can't be catered to, because they might have led to becoming paying customers if they enjoy their experience. And lock-in queues kind of, especially longer ones, can kind of hurt that opportunity. But it's one of those situations where you got to to use again that like medical kind of concept, like in a military base. You have to prioritize prioritize treating those that you can quickly patch up and send back on their way, while those with more serious injuries, or in this case, one could say more detrimental and resource heavy individuals, you have to set aside. And if you, sorry, I think I have this. I'm kind of mixing it up in my brain. All right, so the reword. You have to prioritize those in critical condition over those who have mild injuries. Is what I meant to say, but I fucked it up in my brain. So it's just basic triage. It's the digital version of that. So I hope no free to play free trial people are quitting over this. Like I'd hope most people are like rational and calm enough to understand that it's literally just. It's just them trying their best with what they have to work with. Automatic log out. As an emergency measure to combat congestion, we are also planning the early implementation of an auto log out feature originally slated for the expansion launch with the release of patch 5.58. If no input is detected from a character for an extended period of time, the character will be automatically logged out of the game. This feature will be further expanded to address the surge in logins expected for the launch of Endwalker. Now, what I will say is, I really hope that they've really fine-tuned that, because what if you're only idle? Like, what if someone has to go to the bathroom real quick and they have to go number 2? Let's say, if they're idle for like that let's say it takes them 5 minutes if they're rushing it. If does that bot throw them out if they're idle for only 5 minutes? Like, what degree is the level that the person is idle determine? I'm curious to see like that information, because if it's too short of an amount of time, that's kind of crazy. It is idle for 30 minutes. Okay, well that's perfectly fair then. I mean, like 30 minutes. If you're not doing it for 30 minutes, you're not going poo. You're going to the grocery store if you're gone for 30 minutes. No. If 30 minutes is the thing that, as chat says, I know chat's not visible. I gotta make a version of this screen where chat's included. But 30 minutes. Yeah, if you're idle for 30 minutes, you deserve to get yeeted. Also, welcome to Zerat23. Welcome back. You're probably there the whole time, but you weren't chatting much, so I don't know if you just came back or something. But welcome back, Mark Oliver, St. Laurent Sear, Michael Shariha. Welcome to you as well. I apologize if I mispronounced that. And Michelle Merce. Apologize if it's wrong. If it's Michael, I apologize. I'm used to a different spelling of Michael. But I've seen the same AFK folks for the days in a row. Same place, haven't moved. 30 isn't bad. Now, if you're idle for 30 minutes, again, you've gone and done something else, and you should have logged out while you're doing that thing. So, no. 30 minutes is completely fair. The 30 is completely fair. So this is a completely fair system. We understand that this feature will not be the most popular with our players, and the only people who are gonna have a problem with it are people who are dicking around for 30 minutes outside of the game. And in my opinion, if you're mad about this, too bad. Like, you chose to just sit there twiddling your thumbs or doing something else. Sorry. Like, 30 minutes is beyond fair. Like, that is a beyond fair break time. So, like, yeah, I can't understand why anyone would be mad about this. Like, it's perfectly fair. If it were like 15, 10 minutes, something like that, I could understand. But 30 minutes? That's a half hour. That's half a whole hour you did nothing. Get out. We understand this feature will not be the most popular with our players, but would like to assure you that it is an effective means to temporarily combat congestion. We apologize for any inconvenience its implementation may cause, and thank you for bearing with us to ensure that the game remains accessible during this time. Additional worlds and data centers. A fundamental solution to congestion is an increase in world servers as well as the addition of data centers. As we have already announced, we are currently in the final stages of preparing our new Oceania data center. At the same time, we have been moving forward with plans to expand even further, putting wheels into motion in the form of approving budgets, securing funding, and purchasing equipment. We intended to assess user numbers and planned content after release of 6.0, and then work to have new servers or data centers prepared for 7.0. The current situation, however, has compelled us to reevaluate this timeline and determine if it is possible to speed up the process. I mean, mad fucking props to these guys. Like, I honestly don't think you'd see this with Blizzard right now at all. Like, they're taking time to take a step back, take a breather, and like, okay, this timetable we had isn't effective anymore. It isn't effective for our players. We need to optimize this. We need to reevaluate things to best serve our customer base. Blizzard, I'm pretty sure I've been known to be like, hey, this is our timetable. Can you speed that up? Because, you know, like, no. Are you sure? I mean, several months just to get a basic patch. Don't you think that's kind of crazy? Oh, well, you know, COVID and all this other stuff, so, nope. Okay. The current situation, however, is compelled to reevaluate the timeline. There are, however, two obstacles that stand in our way. Problem one, insufficient servers due to semiconductor shortage. Okay. The COOF pandemic has seen an extreme drop in semiconductor production in factories across the globe. This, coupled with an increase in demand for electronics due to more people working at home, has resulted in an international shortage of semiconductors that, in turn, has resulted in a prolonged delay in the delivery of the servers. I'm assuming it's talking about like the actual physical server towers. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. We ordered our data centers. We have even looked into investing more than market value to speed up delivery, but to no avail. We are not. I almost said not. My accent was coming up there. We are not giving up, however, and are in continued talks with vendors from around the world to find a timely solution to this problem. Problem 2, travel restrictions. I don't know if I even need to read this one. I mean, that one makes sense as well. And a lot of places are still locked down pretty heavily due to still active COVID restrictions and protections. So, and that makes perfect sense to me. But I'll read it through nonetheless. As we touched upon briefly at the Digital Fan Festival, global travel restrictions due to the pandemic have prevented our server infrastructure team from physically visiting the data center locations, causing a considerable reduction in work efficiency. While over the past year and a half, the team has managed to work remotely with overseas staff in the Oceania data center. It has been a challenge that our staff will have to face it once again as we look to expand server capacity in Europe or North America. That said, many members of the team have been proactively getting their COVID vaccinations and are looking into options such as vaccine passports as we plan for in-person visits to data centers. Of course, even should the opportunity to travel arise, we will respect each staff member's opinion on the matter and put their safety first. Hey, mad respect there. We will continue to closely monitor the situation in other countries, and once it has been deemed safe and efficient, given mandatory quarantines, etc., we'll take further steps toward resuming on-site work overseas. Though the obstacles that still face us are many, we believe that the best, most effective method for providing our players a stress-free gameplay experience is through the introduction of new servers and data centers. And yeah, definitely. And if you can't push the capacity of what you have even more, it makes perfect sense to then add on to the capacity that you have. That's just, I guess I just stated the obvious there, now that I think about it. All right. In conclusion, as producer, the responsibility for being unable to predict the current influx of new players falls to me. The days before an expansion's launch are supposed to be ones of excitement, but instead they've brought many players grief, and for that, I personally am extremely sorry. And can you imagine this level of a real apology? Again, even though it's, in my opinion, this is not required. This is all stuff that anyone should understand is the current... And all they needed to do was just explain the problem. They did not need to apologize. But the fact that Naoki Yoshida is like, I am sorry, I wish everybody could be experiencing the optimal experience right now. Can you imagine... I'm sorry, but being a former long-time WoW vet, it's been years since I would see a developer do something like this. Can you imagine the modern Blizzard coming out where the lead game devs come out and said, we're sorry? Even though they actually owe their player base one? No! The closest to an apology you'll get is the corporate ones, the one that the shareholders are meant to see. Like, not real ones to the player base. This comes off as real to me. For years, we have watched devoted players from around the world stream their time with Final Fantasy XIV, and now we sit in awe while new fans join their ranks as we enter our final push in the development of Endwalker. It is this constant flow of positive energy that motivates all of us on the development and operations team to carry on. Nothing can compare to the feeling we get watching you enjoy playing the game we've created. We are aware of the burden we have placed on our player base, and are working diligently to lighten it in the coming weeks and months. We will continue to develop measures to combat server congestion, and will keep you up to date with any and all developments in this area. Thank you again for your continued support. Naoki Yoshida, Final Fantasy XIV producer and director. Mad respect to this man. Seriously. Mad fucking respect. Mad respect. Not that I'm saying they should, but I'll say this. The smartest move Blizzard, Activision more aptly, could do right now is try and poach this man. And they won't succeed, but that is, like, this... I haven't gotten this, like, level of commitment, love, and an actual passion for making a game from, like, a lead dev from a game I actively play in what feels like over a decade. Like, I haven't felt this in a long time. And this for me is yet another one of the big reasons. Whether you like Final Fantasy, it's a weeb game. Who gives a shit? And it's really not, like, overall. It's got some of that, don't get me wrong. Like, to the people who say, like, it's not a weeb game whatsoever, play the Hildebrand quest and tell me that again. Tell me that again. There's nothing weeby about it. Shut up. There absolutely is. But this right here, I've been missing. Devs who care. Devs who are passionate. Devs who talk to the player base with respect and are actually on our level. Like, that's the thing. I'm not getting any semblance of superiority in this. For years, Blizzard has been talking down to us players. They've been talking down to us. Not up, not on level, down. This is closer to talking up to us as the player base, but more apt of its bulk talking on level with us. It takes time to explain it all. It takes passion to actually convey not only Yoshida, but I take the whole team behind Final Fantasy XIV Online. It just transfers that passion, that honesty, and that clarity to us, the player base. That, for me, is such a significant portion of this. And this is the kind of thing I've missed from the Blizzard devs. Respect. And that feeling that they're on our level, that they're talking to us like people and not like, well, game that they're hunting. or like lesser beings that don't understand the basics of what they're talking about. Like, this is mad. This is mad crazy. Well, that does it for this. I'm happy I read that, though. I am very happy I read that. I am very happy I read that. Remember to leave a like and subscribe.